Examination of Public Financial Administration. Those concerned with paying for governmental activities, administration, and design of those activities concerned with the techniques of managing the public money deals, with how the government are utilizing their public money deals, with how the government should manage the collection of potential revenues and spend the revenues. Defined as can be defined as encompassing both of the spending by government and the method used to pay the spending, especially taxation and borrowing managed properly based on law and regulation. Public financial administration also can be defined based on several concepts. It involves time cycle process, begin with tax collection for revenue generation, then process of spending. Later, it involves process of recording for account preparation until process of auditing. This process involves the preparation of budget, preparing proper account statements method before being reviewed by external controllers such as Parliament and Audit General.
Purpose of budgeting. Number 1. Estimation of capital of funds requirement. A finance manager has to make calculated estimation with regards to capital requirement needed. This will depend upon expectation, cost and profit, and future program and policy concern. Number 2. Choice and sources of funds. For additional funds to be required, sometimes outside sources are six, namely loan to be taken from Bank Negara Malaysia, banks and finances institutions. Public deposit to be drawn, like in the form of long-term bonds. Last but not least, the management of expenditure is necessary and is deemed important, so that public funds are not overspent or wasted.
Next, we move into budgetary process. Which is, it has 5 processes. For example, 1. Preparation and formulation. Number 2, submission and examination by central agencies. And the number 3, cabinet and legislative approval. And number 4, execution and implementation. And the last one is audit and review. In this case, budget impact analysis based on retrospective data from patients with suspected severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. Admit to hospital between February 26 and May 21, 2020. Direct medical costs from the perspective of the hospital were calculated. We analyzed diagnostic tests, drugs, medical and nursing care, and isolation ward (ICU) for 3 cohorts. Example, patients seen in the emergency room only, hospitalized patients who test positive for SARS-CoV-2, and the last one, patients who test negative. In conclusion, the impact of COVID-19 on the Malaysian public health budget was 12.3% of total public health expenditure is greater than multiple sclerosis, cancer and diabetes costs.
So, next is initiative. First, the initiative that the government gives to the community is MyStep. What is MyStep? MyStep is Malaysia's short-term employment program. MyStep help people get jobs, opportunities. For 2020, this is 1.8 billion initiative offered 18,000 contract jobs, 15,000 in the public sector and 30,000 jobs in GLCS. There are 2 channels of placement program under by MyStep, namely 1. Placement in the public sector, 2. Placement in GLCS and strategic partner. MyStep personal service, procurement, placement and based on output without being subject to time, place, duty schedule applicable to public offers. With the existence of this program, the job of the affected communities during the pandemic can be addressed with the existence of this MyStep program. The initiative to implement the COVID-19 vaccination program. The government has signed 3 agreements with vaccine companies and is expected to receive the first supply of vaccine by the end of the month. The Prime Minister said through the COVID-19 vaccine supply assurance special command that had been set up, the government would ensure the transparency of vaccine procurement and the National Immunization Program will be given top priority with allocation of 3 billion ringgit, especially for the procurement. Therefore, the community is obliged to take the vaccination dose at a special center that has been provided at no charge.
In Initiative 3. Initiative 3 is the holistic framework of national concerned assistance. Malaysians from various walks of life affected by the COVID-19 outbreak will receive and can apply for various assistance and initiatives outlined in the economic stimulus package announced by the government. A part of the economic stimulus package were Rm 20 billion announced in February 27. The people can also enjoy various assistance under the Perhatian Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package announced by Muhyiddin last March. The two packages totaling Rm 215 billion and to protect the people, support business and strengthen the economy in the face of the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. After that, the following among the assistance and initiative under Perhatian. Okay, first, initiative under Perhatian is special allowance of 600 for health and medical staff, special allowance for 200 to members of the Army, Police, Custom and Immigration, Fire, Brigade Civil Defence Force and Rela members. Payment of Perbadanan Tabung Perbangunan Kemahiran iaitu PTPK for 6 months is postpaid and prepaid customers will be provided with free high-speed internet with a quota of 1 GB per day until the implement of the movement control. Insurance of payment of income tax installments to all small and medium enterprise is SMEs for a period of 3 months. Indemnification of tax installment payment to effect business in the tourism sector of 6 months. Last, Initiative 4. Synergy of government, private and NGO cooperation. In the face of a crisis, it does not only involve effort from the government alone. Every layer of society, private companies and non-governmental organizations (NGO) also play a big role in breaking the chain of this epidemic. Several hotels, for example, have offered the government to be used as quarantine centers. In fact, there are hotels like in Cyberjaya that have already started providing service as quarantine centers of those who have no return from abroad. The dynamic of the Ministry of Health preparedness are also clear and thus prepare for more serious possibilities. Lastly, the MEPS COVID-19 Low Risk Quarantine and Treatment Center in Sedang is able to accommodate 600 for painted in 2 halls. In addition to meeting the comfort of those receive treatment as a provide diet and painted meals, first psycho-social counseling service, occupational health and safety, pharmacy, X-ray, Ventology laboratory, general and clinical waste room, pension records, facility maintenance and safety, not only assistance from government agencies, but also indirectly involved are experts in their respective field from 3D printers owner who make face shields, next fashion designers providing PPE, farmers selling fresh goods to NGO that distribute food and daily necessity. For the last one, this is a joint effort that we should be proud of.
Conclusion technique of handling people's money deal with how the government should manage the collection of potential revenue as well as how the government spend money and technique used to pay expense. Particular taxes and loans are managed effectively based on laws and regulation. So, failure to meet that commitment is the biggest risk of global recession. Consequently, if the country is suffering such a situation, it must act immediately before the country's economy suffers.